Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, obviously more developments on the war with Iran. We're going to talk about that later in the show, but huge developments domestically. Have you gone to an airport lately? Now, it's not happening in every single major airport, but in over a dozen airports across the United States. Whether it be LaGuardia or John F. Kennedy in New York, whether it's in Houston, Atlanta, Orlando, the lines are an absolute travesty. We're talking monster lines, security lines where people are waiting just for screening, TSA screening, 3 hours, 4 hours. In New Orleans, it was as much as 5 hours. The line was so long, I'm not kidding. It backed up down to another floor, all the way to baggage claim. That's how far the line was snaking. And so to deal now with this absolute chaos and havoc on passengers, on airports, on airlines, President Trump now has said enough. The Democrats have shut all funding for the Department of Homeland Security. They've done it now for over a month. They are trying to force the administration to make serious compromises and concessions on weakening ICE. The Democrats want to weaken the ability of ICE to deport illegal aliens. They want to tie their hands. They want to make sure that none of them are able to wear masks, for example, among many other things. And so President Trump and the Republicans are refusing to budge. And so the Department of Homeland Security is not being funded. DHS is not funded, meaning that TSA is not funded. And so what we now have in the middle of a war, this is, to me, what is unforgivable. It's bad enough that they're forcing these TSA agents to go without paychecks. But to do this in the middle of a war, when we know the Iranian mullahs want to send out terrorists and activate sleeper cells in order to target airports and target airplanes. And yet this is what the Democrats have now done. And so you now have, just to give you an example, over the weekend, in New York, both major airports, in Atlanta, in Houston, over a third of TSA agents have called in sick or are refusing to show up to work. Over 400 and counting so far have just simply quit. Why? Because they're not getting paid. It's now pay cycle after pay cycle. They are not getting paid. And with no paychecks, they can't eat. They can't buy food. They can't make their rent. They can't pay their bills. In fact, you have TSA agents now openly saying that if they miss the next pay cycle, which apparently is going to be March 27th, that if there's nothing resolved by March 27th and they miss another pay cycle, they will have no choice but to quit. Because power companies are threatening to turn off the power because they haven't been able to pay the last bill. Because they're not getting paid. And so morale is at an all-time low. Many agents are saying, why should I work and I'm not getting paid? And so less agents, fewer TSA agents, that means longer lines. And the lines are going from 1 hour to 2 hours to 3 hours, now to 4 or 5 hours. And obviously flyers can't take it. I mean, they're saying we're just waiting and waiting and waiting in these lines. Massive congestion in the airports. People are getting angry. There's a lot of chaos, a lot of anxiety. And so President Trump has called the Democrats his bluff. And he said, okay, the one agency you guys can't stand is ICE. Well, not only am I going to deploy them to secure the border, And not only am I going to deploy them for immigration enforcement, but I'm going to deploy them now as backup to TSA. And so at over a dozen airports starting yesterday, thousands and thousands of ICE agents were deployed, almost all of them not wearing masks. So you can see their faces, their proper identification, and they're there to help TSA. They can't do, for example, some specialized aspects of the job. For example, take x-rays, or some screening. But what they can do is basic security. And that's what they're doing, having people look at their identification, go over some basic questions, help out with screening, help out with security on the lines. And so what that has done is it has freed up the other TSA agents from those duties and responsibilities to then focus on specialized screening, which is what TSA agents are trained to do, and ICE agents are not trained to do. And guess what? The lines, the wait times are falling like a stone. They've gone from 3 hours, even 4 hours, to less than 40 minutes or even half an hour. And so this is now undercutting the Democrats' plan to use DHS funding as a sort of hostage in order to force the Republicans to weaken ICE enforcement. It's not working. Trump is now blocking them. He's sending in these ICE agents to back up the TSA to make up for the shortfall of manpower and personnel, because many of them are not obviously showing up at work because they're not getting paid. And so the lines now have gotten much shorter. Now, this was only 24 hours. We'll see what happens today. But yesterday, big difference in Atlanta and in Houston and in Florida and in LaGuardia, to the point that passengers now are saying thank you to ICE agents, shaking their hands, saying thank you for being here and helping out. Now I don't have to wait 4 hours to go through TSA screening. It's a more manageable 30, 40 minutes. And so, as Trump now calls their bluff, the Democrats have to engage in panic porn and hysteria, fear-mongering to the nth degree. And what is it? Listen now to House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. He goes on ICE. He goes on CNN. Forgive me. This is CNN. And he says that ICE, by deploying them at the airports, guess what? They're going to start killing Americans. I swear to you. Roll cut 16, Mike.
There are three things that have been true since Donald Trump and Republicans came back into power last January. Life is more expensive, life is more chaotic, and life is more extreme. The last thing that the American people need are for untrained ICE agents to be deployed at airports all across the country, potentially to brutalize or in some instances kill them. We've already seen how ICE conducts itself. These are untrained individuals when it comes to doing the current job that they have for the most part, let alone deploying them in close exposure in highly sensitive situations at airports across the country.
Right. So you see now it's the fear-mongering. Now it's, oh my God, if ICE agents help out the TSA with waiting times and, people screening, to screen them and to help them get through TSA screening procedures quickly. Yeah, they're going to just start shooting people. They're just going to start brutalizing people and beating people because that's what ICE does. This is now the new Democrat line. In fact, it wasn't even just Hakeem Jeffries. Senator Dick Blumenthal from Connecticut, that fraud, Mr. Stolen Valor, went on X and said, don't go to the airport because now that ICE is being deployed, they're going to shoot you and your family. Like these executioners are going to walk around and just boom, 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 start shooting people as they wait in line to get through airport security. This is the level that the Democrats have now descended into. Now, I'm telling you, it's going to blow up in the Democrats' face. Already, day one, it has been immensely successful. No one's been shot. No one's been attacked. No one's been brutalized. And if anything, it is showing people just what decent law enforcement ICE agents are, and more than that, how the Democrats are to blame for the DHS shutdown, and how they don't care about ordinary Americans, how they're willing to endanger our safety in the skies, and to have us wait and inconvenience us for hours upon hours upon hours, just to play to their left-wing activist base. And let me tell you the ultimate irony in all of this. No matter what happens with DHS funding, ICE is already fully funded, even though it's part of Department of Homeland Security. ICE is fully funded because of the one big beautiful bill. So ICE agents are getting paid. Okay, let me ask all of you. Do you support President Trump's decision to deploy ICE agents now to stem the crisis at our airports? Because the Democrats, what is it now, 37 days, 35 days, whatever it is, are refusing to fund the Department of Homeland Security. So DHS is now shut down. They are cutting off all funding. So TSA agents have not been paid in over a month. Coast Guard, same thing. FEMA, I could run down the line. Ironically, the one agency that has not been affected, it's technically under DHS, but because it was separately funded in the one big beautiful bill, is Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. ICE agents are getting paid. So the Democrats allegedly, this is their, stated reason, say, well, we want to, change the way ICE conducts itself, the way it enforces the immigration law. They want to dilute and weaken ICE, and they want to make dramatic changes in how ICE is going to do its job. And Trump is saying absolutely not. And what you're doing instead is you're hurting the country. You're hurting airline travelers. You're endangering airport security, especially in the midst of a war. And now you are causing, I don't even know if it's inconvenience. What do you tell people that have to wait 4, 5, 6 hours in line just to simply get through TSA screening? And so our airports are now in absolute chaos. Now, just very quickly, because I want to go to the phone lines, they were deployed for the first time yesterday without any incident. In fact, not only was there no incident, but to the shock of, say, CNN and much of the anti-Trump fake news media, when they asked travelers, whether it be in New Orleans or Houston or Atlanta or Orlando or in New York, where much of this is, the bulk of the chaos is in those major international airports. So far, Logan has not been that badly affected. The travelers almost unanimously, certainly overwhelmingly, said, yeah, great, we love them. They're polite, they're courteous, they're professional. They're helping out with some of the security aspects that TSA does, so they can focus on the most specialized aspects to help alleviate the shortage in manpower, in personnel, because people are quitting or not showing up to work because they haven't been paid. Listen now. This is a CNN montage. Travelers at the airport, and to CNN's shock, they thought they were going to have people say, oh my God, we're going to get shot. It's ICE. They're going to beat us. They're going to shoot us. They're going to kill us, like the Democrats are saying. And instead, they're happy. Yes, good. Send in more ICE agents. Roll cut 20A. Mike.
As long as they don't bother anybody, I'm okay. I was concerned about people. So they're not bothering us. Let's get it done.
I like that they're here. I think that it's allowing us to move and get to where we need to go.
It's kind of scary in a sense because you don't know what to expect with ICE.
As long as they can help us move a little bit faster, maybe they can take some of the work off the TSA agents as far as general security. I'm all for it.
Now, when you read newspaper accounts, as I did last night, to me it's shocking how many people interviewed say that they're afraid of ICE. That they're afraid. And you heard a couple of them, right, in this montage saying, oh, I'm scared. Oh, okay, as long as they don't hurt me, just okay, let's just move along now. Let's just get the lines moving. So this sense of fear, this lie about ICE, this hysteria, this panic porn, that ICE just goes around shooting people, killing people, arresting people for no reason, terrorizing people. I can't believe how many Democrats have bought into this BS, this demonization, vilification of ICE. So I think what I'm happy about is, A, it's showing the Democrats, no, we're going to stop you from inflicting this kind of pain. You're not going to hold Department of Homeland Security funding hostage because we're going to counter with ICE. But Americans are going to see now at the airports, this is no boogeyman. These aren't monsters. This isn't the SS. And when Hakeem Jeffries and Denang Blumenthal are going on about you'll be brutalized, they'll shoot you dead like a dog. They'll shoot you and your family. When they see the reality of how professional and civilized and frankly decent most ICE agents are compared to this fantasy, this delusion that the Democrats keep pumping and pumping and pumping into the media bloodstream, I think they're going to look around and say, you know what? No, I'm sorry. You guys have been lying about ICE. In fact, as a PR move, this could be the best thing that ever happened to Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Now, it doesn't solve the larger issue. It's a temporary Band-Aid. The larger issue is these TSA agents need to be paid. FEMA, the Coast Guard, Department of Homeland Security, funding must be restored. We're in the middle of a freaking war. And we don't have a funded Department of Homeland Security. We're not funding Homeland Security in the middle of a major war. Does this seem normal to you? This is how treasonous, how reckless, how irresponsible, and how anti-American the Democrats have become. It's almost as if they want to see a plane blow up, God forbid, or they want to see something bad happen at an airport in order to blame Trump. Okay, let me ask the best audience in the business. Is Trump right to deploy ICE agents to help TSA now at the airports as the long lines get longer and longer and longer due to the shutdown in funding? DHS is completely shut down. They have not been paid. Or do you think, like many others, that the way the Democrats are now claiming, that this is only going to instill even more terror, that people will be afraid, that ICE will, as Hakeem Jeffries put it, brutalize travelers, shoot travelers, kill families, murder them, abuse them, and that this is another gross abuse of power by Trump and by ICE? 617-266-6868. Lines are loaded. Dave, our Western PA constitutionalist correspondent right near Pittsburgh. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Morning, Mr. Kuhner. Good morning, Jeff. How
Dave,
are you, buddy?
I'm very good. How are you, my friend?
Good, sir. Hey, Jeff, you know what? I'm going to begin right here in the 12th Congressional District of Pennsylvania. Our Congresswoman, Summer Lee, look her up, Jeff, on Facebook. Her name is Summer, like summer. I call her Dummerly, okay? Second of all, Jeff, God forbid that these hack politicians, like the aforementioned Dummerly and Hakeem Jeffries, don't get paid, Jeff. But they keep other people, like these hardworking TSA agents, from getting paid. You know, God, and Hakeem, I got some choice words for you, buddy. Get off your lazy ass and actually do something, you bad politician, because these ICE guys in TSA work 3 times as hard as you do, and they wear the badge with pride, American pride.
You know, Dave, it's funny you should say that, because you're right. I was thinking the exact same thing last night. I said, how come these politicians can shut down either the government or a partial shutdown like this with Department of Homeland Security, so all these poor people don't get paid? But these politicians who shut the government down, they get paid. No. If TSA doesn't get paid, or Coast Guard, or FEMA, or anybody at DHS, they don't get paid. I'm with you all the way. Dave, let me ask you this. This is not even my point. This is what Larry on Messenger sent me, and I think he's completely right. All of this talk that the Democrats have been going on now for I don't know how long. Oh, they wear masks. Oh, ICE agents. Oh, it's so scary. It's so wrong. How dare they wear masks? Yet these are the same liberals who were putting on COVID masks, forcing all of us to put COVID masks, and they would wear COVID masks even when they were alone in the car. They were masking themselves. So when it came to COVID, they loved masks. They wanted everybody walking around everywhere in masks. They were forcing people to wear masks. But suddenly, when ICE agents who have to confront and arrest and deal with some of the most violent, dangerous criminals on the face of the earth, and with these crazy left-wing activists who just want to dox them and reveal their names and addresses so people can go and threaten and murder their families. Suddenly, when ICE agents need to wear a mask to protect themselves, their identity, and their families, all of a sudden, it's the SS. It's the brown shirts. It's fascism. It's, oh my God, these are monsters. So I want to ask you, Dave, why was it okay to force everyone to wear a mask when it was COVID, even though we know masks did not work? We know that. But suddenly, to protect themselves and their families, ICE agents can't wear a mask. Can you explain that to me, Dave?
Yeah, Jeff, first of all, I mean, jokingly on like 2 or 3 points, I know what scary is. I come from Salem, Jeff, okay? And, you know, second of all, Jeff, people like the Democrats, yeah, they need to wear a mask because they're butt-ass ugly. Third of all, you know, Jeff, it's do as I say, not as I do with these Democrats. And not only do they not have any shame, Jeff, because, you know, they'll come out and say ICE kills. No, it's called ICE does their job there, Hakeem. All right, Jeff? And they do a good job. And you know what, Jeff? It's Alex Petty and Nicole not so good. And yes, I'm saying not so good because it rhymes, Jeff. All right? They're the ones that got their dumb asses killed by interfering in federal law enforcement. And it's their job. And then, Jeff, if we didn't have, how about this, Jeff? If we didn't have sanctuary cities, okay, ICE, Nicole Petty and Alex Petty and Nicole Good would be alive right now. And the last point I'd like to make, Jeff, you know, I think Congress should go 2 weeks without pay because that's how the military and the government gets paid every 2 weeks. The 1st and the 15th, Jeff. Maybe Congress is different. But anyway, Jeff, I'm glad you brought this subject up this morning because the Democrats have shown that they're the SS. They're the fascist liberal communists. And you know what, Jeff? Somebody that watches MS Now or MSDNC or whatever you want to call it, or CNN, you know, Jeff, they're close-minded liberals. But yet they say the conservatives, we're close-minded because all we watch is Fox, OAN, and listen to you and Newsmax because at least they say the truth and they say what's going on out there and they'll show both sides like you do, Jeff. Yes, Jeff, you're a conservative, but you bring both sides to the argument. Hell, you let dumbass Bill from Sudbury on, those 2 idiots from Gloucester, Frank and Chris. You know, it sounds like Frankenberry cereal, if you ask me. But,
Dave, as always, thank you very, very much for that call, Dave. Well said. Yeah, well, I mean, we're not intolerant. That's the difference between us and the left. And I think that's now clearer than ever. Look, I just want to play one more cut very quickly. Here's the boogeyman. Okay, here's these masked killers as the Democrats are now portraying them. By the way, This is why there's so much violence against ICE agents. Look at the way the Democrats demonize them and vilify them. And it's just nonstop. It's around the clock. They say the most outlandish, defamatory, ridiculous things. Well, in reality, this is Florida, okay? Now, Orlando has been hammered with this, TSA crisis. So this airport crisis, you're looking at 3-4 hour lines every day. If you look at the images, it's a mess. It's a mess. I don't know how these poor people can travel. I'd lose my mind waiting that long in a line. I'm serious. So now that ICE was deployed yesterday, it's gone from 3.5, 4 hours to 25 minutes. Things are going along so much more smoothly. This is a Florida Voice reporter. And just saying, here's what I'm seeing at the airport. Roll cut 20B, Mike.
And the wait line looks like this. In the couple of hours that I've been here, I've seen ICE officers patrolling, and the line has looked the same since I got here. Completely empty. So if you see wait times go down while you're traveling, you may just want to thank an ICE officer. Earlier this morning, travelers may have experienced a little bit of a wait time, but since I've been here, the lines seem to be moving fairly smooth.
All right, so even the reporter's like, yeah, you may want to thank an ICE officer. So, they're not these evil monsters that the Democrats are portraying them. In fact, quite the contrary. Heather in Wareham. Thanks for holding, Heather, and welcome.
I called.
Hi, Heather.
I have a comment. I am so excited that that Trump deployed the ICE agents. I think that was brilliant on his end. When I read that this weekend, I was like, oh my God, the Democrats are going to go crazy over this. The one thing I wanted to say is I got married a couple weeks ago in St. Thomas, and when we went home, I have never seen an airport as crazy as that place. We didn't have to wait long in line for
Heather, can you do me a favor? I want you to share your story. Let's go right back to Heather in Wareham. She thinks it was a brilliant move by Trump to deploy ICE agents. I agree with him. Liberal heads are exploding all across the country. Heather recently got married a couple of weeks ago. By the way, congratulations, Heather, both to you and your wonderful husband. And she said she was coming back from her honeymoon, and then we had to go to break. So please, Heather, pick up where you left off.
Okay, so we got married in St. Thomas. We were coming back from St. Thomas, and I've never seen anything like it. Now, I will say going through TSA wasn't that bad because they had this thing that's called red something or other, and you pay extra. I didn't even know. I think it's a little bit of a scam, to be quite honest. You pay a little extra and you get to go through the lines a little faster. So it wasn't really that. But once we got through the gates, I've never seen anything like it. There was no seats. People were sitting on the floor. I had to go to the bathroom. I said, honey, I'll be right back, to my husband. I think I was gone waiting in line just to go to the bathroom for like 45 minutes. It was like insane. It was at least 45 minutes. My husband's like, well, where'd you go? I'm like, I was literally waiting in line. And I said to him, if you want to go to the bathroom, you better go now. Although there was no lines for the men's room, ironically. But with that being said, I think I figured something out. I had not figured something out, but I just realized something. I think the Democrats, you know how some people, some people have like chaos lives and they always live in chaos.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
there's
yes.
people. I think the Democrats like to live in chaos, and they create chaos because it makes them feel better or something. I don't know, but it just seems like all of this is always created by the liberals.
Well, they thrive on chaos. I think many of them, I'll be brutally honest with you, are miserable human beings. I think they're depressed. I think they're sad. I think they're unhappy. I think they're bitter. To me, there's no question. And I think many of them have mental health issues. Liberalism is a mental disorder. I used to think it was a funny phrase. Now I'm telling you, I believe it's true. And so I think there's no question. And so, look, when you have the leader of the Democrats in Congress openly come out and say, I don't want ICE agents to help alleviate the pressure on these poor TSA agents who have not been paid in over a month. And by the way, Heather, people don't know this. It's not like these TSA agents are making money hand over fist. The median income, now it depends where you live, which market you work in, which airport, but on the whole, the average salary, the median average salary for a TSA agent is $61,000 a year. Now, I'm telling you, I know you know this better than I do, $61,000 a year in Boston is not going to get you very far. Or in Houston, or in Atlanta, or in New York City. It's not going to get you very far. You're living paycheck to paycheck. You can barely afford your food, your utilities, and your rent. And what these poor TSA agents are now saying, I mean, it's really sad, where you've got passengers giving them gift cards for food. Saying, here's a $50 gift card for a grocery store, or, here's a $100 gift card to a restaurant, or whatever you need to eat. Because they have no money, because where they live is so expensive. And you have these poor, that's why some of them have quit. Over 400 have quit and counting. And they're like, look, I love to work TSA. I believe in security. They were created after 9/11. I don't want some terrorist to come in here and blow up a plane and kill Americans. Many of them do it out of, a sense of patriotic duty. But my landlord is saying I'm late with the rent. I'm going to be evicted. My power company, I've read the reports where they're interviewing TSA agents. It's really sad. And they're saying, you don't understand. I've already missed a couple of pay cycles. And they've told me, the power company, you don't pay in 2 weeks or whatever it is, 10 days, we're shutting off your power. And I said, and the guy says, I told him I'm TSA. I'm not being paid. They go, that's your problem. That's not our problem. We want our money. So he's like, I got to get another job. And you have TSA agents now who are working, not paid, and they're moonlighting. They're working for Uber or Lyft, or they're doing grocery deliveries, or all sorts of jobs just to get some cash money to barely get by. Now, to me, that's beyond disgusting. You don't treat your fellow citizens like this. And yet the Democrats don't want to fund TSA or Coast Guard. By the way, Coast Guard, and I'll come back to you, Heather, we're in the middle of a war. You don't think Iranians would like to land, the mullahs would like to land a cell on one of our shores and infiltrate our country? And I'm not just saying through the southern border. I'm talking about landing on one of our coasts. Like, hello? And we're not going to pay the Coast Guard? Are these people, are they normal? So I think Trump now has to really take it to them and shame them and say, you are playing with the lives and the safety of the American people with this. And if they don't get paid, you don't get paid. This is beyond outrageous. And so let me throw this by you, Heather, because I think, and by the way, Heather, now it's gotten to the point that Elon Musk is now saying, well, if the government won't pay their checks, I'll pay their checks. And so Elon is now offering to pay TSA their wages, their salaries, until this DHS shutdown is resolved. So what? We need a gazillionaire, a private sector man, to pay the wages and provide the paychecks that our own government won't? If I'm President Trump, here's what I do. I go to every single TSA agent and I say, you know what? I'm going to make you ICE. Right away, we're going to move you from TSA. We're going to put you on the ICE payroll. And you're going to still keep the exact same job at the TSA, what you're doing, everything what you're doing, the screening, the x-rays, the whole bit. Okay, the security at the airport, except you're going to go from a TSA that's going to be on your jacket to ICE, ICE. And so we'll fund you from the ICE account. And this way, you're going to start getting a paycheck. And the Democrats can go blank themselves. This is getting ridiculous. And then go to the people and say, this is what you want? This is what you want? You know, you sit in line for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours on a shutdown inflicted by the Democrats, designed to create pain, chaos, punishment, so that people will turn on Trump, so will weaken ICE. And not one of these Democrats say to themselves, why are they making me wait 4, 5, 6 hours in line? Why are they doing this to me? Why are they putting my safety at risk? Do they want a terrorist to blow up a plane? Is that what they want? My question to you, Heather, why aren't Democrats going to their Democrat leaders and members of Congress and saying, you've caused enough pain, enough disruption, enough of a hassle, enough hardship, stop the shutdown, reopen the DHS, and get these TSA agents paid, back pay, everything. Why won't the Democrats say or do anything? What say you, Heather?
My theory. I think they don't, a lot of them won't say anything because a lot of them don't know what's really going on. Like a lot, and I'm not saying this in a bad, like, I'm not putting blame, but like many people work and like have lives and families, and a lot of people just, they're not like you and I, like, that pay attention to like what goes on in politics and stuff. Like they just, you know what I mean? They live their lives, and I used to be one of them until I started following. Like I never paid attention to politics ever until COVID, and then when things didn't make sense to me, that's when I started waking up. So I just think that, you know, a lot of people just don't even realize. And I also think the people that do, like the crazy Democrat, and I'm with you 100%, they are totally mentally ill, the liberals. Now, and I also think there's a difference. I've said this many times. I think there's a difference between a Democrat, old school Democrat, than a liberal. Like my father, for instance, he was a Democrat, but he was JFK Democrat. Do you know what I mean? I would never call him a crazy Democrat. Like I wouldn't call him a crazy liberal. Like we had disagreements and stuff, but like he wasn't a crazy liberal, if you know what I mean.
No, I know exactly what you mean. No, they had a sense of patriotism. You know, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country, as JFK famously said. And they had a sense of a strong national defense and helping the working class. Those days are long gone. But I know exactly what you're saying. No, what you're dealing now is with, you know, the woke mind virus, as it's called. These are people who are on the radical left. Most of them are out and out communists and Marxists. They hate this country, everything it stands for. And they just want to cause, you know, as you said, chaos for the sake of chaos. And I got to give them, you know, their due. Until yesterday, they were destroying our airports. It's a mess. It's a disaster. And luckily now Trump is fighting back, and I'm with them all the way. Heather, thank you so much for that call. Okay, listen up, my friends. Please, you got to hear this. If you want the best way to hear the Kuhner Report every single day, it is simple. The iHeart Radio app. It is free, it's easy, and it lets you take the show with you wherever you go. And here's the big announcement. We are now launching something brand new. Kuhner's Talkback Tit for Tat. On the iHeart app, you look in the upper right corner for the red microphone. You just tap it and boom, baby. You can leave a message for me, for Sandy, and for Mike. Tell us what's on your mind. Respond to something you heard on the show. Agree with us, disagree with us. Give us your tit for tat. No filters, I promise. No gatekeepers. Leave your messages anytime during the week. And every Monday, in the final segment of the show, we'll play back the best talkbacks on the air. Your voice becomes part of the Kuhner Report. So download the iHeart app, hit that red microphone, baby, and join Kuhner's Talk Back tit for tat, where the listeners fire back. 617-266-6868. Paul in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Paul, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. How you doing
Paul.
today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Hanging in there, That's all we can do. This was, like the other caller said, the woman before, it was brilliant. What a plan, a strategy. I mean, I believe what this does is humanize ICE. It shows the people that ICE are just like us. They're doing their job. They're humans. What can you say? I think it's going to turn people over from what they've been seeing from these lunatics in Congress and these mental cases here in Massachusetts. I think it's going to show a lot of people that they're not as bad as they're portrayed by these nuts. And I think it was a brilliant move. I'm all for it, and I agree with you that President Trump should turn around and put them on the ICE salary. That would the libs would go ballistic. They would literally lose their mind. I love it. I love to see moves like this. This shows me President Trump, he's still here. I agree with you. I'm not for the war, but I believe in my heart that it had to be done. But needless to say, this was a great move by President Trump. I love it.
Paul, you touched on something earlier, and I think it's just important for us to flush it out. You said, it'll drive the liberals crazy. And now if they put them especially on the ICE payroll, so now TSA agents are going to get paid. And, you're right. They'll go ballistic. They'll go ape. And the question is why? So you want long lines? This is a question I have to ask for these Democrats. So you mean you like to inconvenience the American public to the point where they're waiting 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, just waiting in a line for ordinary screening? Is that what you want? What you want our TSA agents to quit? So you want potentially a terrorist to get through because of lack of personnel and lack of manpower? So what, you want a plane to get blown out of the sky? You want a bomb to be detonated at the airport? You want someone to go, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. Is that what you want? This is what I find. Are you that? Is Trump derangement syndrome driven you so mad and so insane and so irrational that you're willing to inflict untold misery and even potentially death and destruction upon your fellow citizens because you think somehow it's going to damage or hurt Trump? Paul, is that the level now that we've reached with Democrats and liberals out there?
With evil. And what evil enjoys is chaos. And that's all these people do, is create chaos. They want to see it. They're American-hating lunatics that they shouldn't even be in Congress. I mean, I can't believe the things these people say. And they're allowed to stay as representatives. Who do they represent? They don't represent me. They don't represent your normal American who's out there working hard, trying to make a living, trying to pay bills. They have no concept. They're so distant from what we on the front line have to do every day. They think we're the perps. They reach in our pocket. We want more. I mean, look at what's going on in Massachusetts and Healy and mental Madami. I mean, more. How much more can you take? You can't bleed a stone. I mean, it's crazy. They're just chaotic, crazy people that they need to seek psychiatric help. Bottom line.
Oh, I agree. Oh, I really do. No, really, I think you're dead on. I mean, I used to think, I thought it was a funny punchline, a funny slogan, And the older I get, I'm like, no, that was really true. Liberalism it's a psychotic disorder. It's a mental disorder. There's no other way. To me, there's no other way to explain it. Paul, thank you so much for that call. 617-266-6868. Aaron in the great state of Nevada. Thanks for holding, Aaron, and welcome.
Jeff, to answer your question, Trump not only should have deployed ICE to the airports, he should have done so last week. By the way, good for you for standing up to Mark Levin on Twitter. He is burning bridges he has no right burning. Now, Jeff, I and this audience have been constantly saying, where are the Republicans and Trump on the PR messaging? Look, I know I constantly criticize Republicans, but I do it for the same reason why Cleveland Browns fans bash the coaches and why Raiders fans do, because I know we can do better. The Republicans cannot sell a kiss at a brothel. I'm just pointing things out. According to the polls, a CBS poll. Now, CBS, liberal news media, plus minus 5 points. 47% of the American people are saying that the TSA crisis is solely the Republicans' fault, not the Democrats. Only 37% blame Democrats. 16% said a pox on both their parties.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
I'm not making that up.
No, I believe you. I'm just saying that's just incredible. 47% are blaming Republicans for the TSA crisis. Yeah, you can't. I don't know what else to say. Either they're incredibly uninformed or the disinformation from the media is working. But this is shocking. Absolutely shocking. Should Trump, let's go even further, Aaron. Let me ask you. Trump now says if by deploying ICE, that doesn't ease the lines enough, he says, you know what the next step is? I'm going to send the National Guard. If that's what it takes, that's what I'll do. Should Trump send in the National Guard, in your view, Aaron?
Anything to make the lines go faster because it's spring break. This is when a lot of people go on vacations. Now, here's what I'm worried about. The Democrat panic porn is working again, just like it did for COVID, just like it did for abortion. The last time Republicans did panic porn, it was Bush and Cheney yelling and screaming that Iraq was an imminent threat. Remember my coworker at work? I told you that she was getting a reinforced door to prevent ICE from coming in?
Yes.
I asked her again. I said, are you joking? Are you dead serious about that? She and some of the coworkers of mine saying they're not letting their children, their Latino children, play outside because they think ICE are like the child kidnapper from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Excuse me. Again, I want to get back to the CBS poll. 53% of the American people agree with the phrase that ICE murdered Renee Good and Petty. Now, you mentioned that a majority of Americans want deportations, but 65% said that ICE was too aggressive in Minnesota. Only 18% of the American people agree with you and me that ICE did not go far enough in Minnesota. So the American people want a kinder, gentler way of deportation. Oh, pretty please, Mr. Illegal, please can we deport you? We'll give you a chocolate bar. We'll fluff your pillow for you. We'll give you a hug. I'm just saying to the Republicans, defend your ICE agents, damn it. Trump can say, look, you can call me Hitler all you want, but stop calling my ICE agents murderers. You're going to get these guys killed. And I want to end on this. Here's the scariest thing about Minneapolis that scared me. The Democrats are willing to die. Petty and Good are dead.
You're dead on. No, they wanted an incident. They got their incident. Democrats are willing to die in order to make ICE and Trump look bad. You can text the Kuhner Man 70470, 70470. Okay, Trump does a jiu-jitsu move on the Democrats. You want to shut DHS down? You want to cut off all funding? No problem. We will deploy ICE agents to help TSA deal with the long waiting lines. And the Democrats now are going absolutely berserk. Countless ICE agents were deployed yesterday at many major airports. It has cut the lines the waiting times in the security lines. It has cut them back dramatically. Trump says if they need even more help, he's going to send in the National Guard. Now, I want to read this text because I think it sums up so much so well. Jeff, 603, by the way. This is from New Hampshire. Jeff, yes, I support using ICE agents to fill in for TSA while the Democrats yet again seek to harm our country. I also applaud Elon Musk for offering to pay the TSA's agents' wages until this latest needless problem is resolved. That said, I have to ask, how long before the Democrats mobilize these leftist rent-a-mobs to go protest at airports and block the roads entering and exiting these airports? That is a phenomenal point, 603. I support the move 1,000%. Don't get me wrong. But this is one of the things that when I read the story, I said, oof. The only problem I see with it is it's now going to encourage these anti-ICE left-wing provocateurs, the Alex Preddies, the Renee Goods of the world. Well, now that ICE is there at the airport, helping out the TSA, providing security, checking ID, no masks, they can be identified. Pictures of them can be taken, their names on their, identified on their tags. Are they now going to try to create an incident, harass ICE agents, try to create a dangerous tension like they did in Minneapolis, and then a confrontation with ICE agents, and God forbid they get arrested, and they go, look at these thugs. Look at them arresting them. Look. Or they attack ICE agents, or try to spark a manufactured incident that could lead to a potential shooting or a killing, and this time not in a sanctuary city, but at an airport. And make no mistake about it, when Hakeem Jeffries, and let me just repeat it, when Hakeem Jeffries goes in front of a press conference and says this, roll cut 16, Mike. Sorry, not in front of a press conference, my bad. That was later. When he goes on CNN and says, ICE is going to be deployed to airports now and help out TSA, roll cut 16, Mike.
There are three things that have been true since Donald Trump and Republicans came back into power last January. Life is more expensive, life is more chaotic, and life is more extreme. The last thing that the American people need are for untrained ICE agents to be deployed at airports all across the country, potentially to brutalize or in some instances kill them. We've already seen how ICE conducts itself. These are untrained individuals when it comes to doing the current job that they have for the most part, let alone deploying them in close exposure and highly sensitive situations at airports across the country.
That's not a dog whistle. That's a bullhorn. Da Nang Dick, Senator Dick Blumenthal of Connecticut, that other fake and fraud, Mr. Stolen Valor, went on X, as I said earlier, and said they're going to get people shot, they're going to get families killed. That's what ICE is going to do. That's why they're being deployed, to go out there and hunt down illegal aliens at the airports and start shooting and killing them. So why are the Democrats singing from the same playbook, the songbook, singing from the exact same songbook, using the same playbook that they did in Minneapolis? They're all on the same page. You deploy ICE, Americans get murdered. You deploy ICE, Americans get terrorized and brutalized. Why? Because they want to encourage anti-ICE activists. They want to incite left-wing mobs to descend on airports. And I think 603 is right. To block the exits, to block the entry into the airports, to confront ICE agents, to try to get themselves arrested so that then they can try to show, oh, look how evil ICE is. And to, yes, maybe put out a couple more sacrificial lambs like Alex Preddy and Renee Good. Get more people killed so the public will turn decisively against ICE and against Trump. I want to ask you, it is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. ICE at the airports. Afraid or grateful? Trump has now deployed ICE agents to many national airports. Are you afraid? The Democrats say you should. You're going to be shot. You're going to be killed. You're going to be brutalized. Or are you grateful? Because, man, if yesterday was anything to go by, they have cut down the waiting time by, about, I'd say, 3 hours. No, I'm not kidding. It was 3 to 4 hours for weeks. Now it's more like 30 minutes. So, afraid or grateful? A, afraid. B, grateful. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in national ER. You can also vote via X, my handle there, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhn as in national ER. Let me super quick ask all of you a very simple question. And I know it's the Coast Guard. I know it's FEMA. I know it's many people who work in our Department of Homeland Security. Again, in the midst of a war. They're there to protect the homeland. And in the middle of a war, they're not being paid. There's no funding. There's no funding. Okay, I can't think of anything more reckless, irresponsible, borderline treasonous than that. But let that go. Let's just focus on TSA and these poor TSA agents who, on average, medium income, $61,000 a year. $61,000 a year, and many of them work in, big metropolitan areas like Boston, like Atlanta, like Dallas, like Houston, I can go on and on, where cost of living very high. Rent, food, utilities, $61,000, believe me, doesn't get you very far. But now you're missing a paycheck. Now you're missing a second paycheck. Now you're about to miss a third paycheck. How long could you go without a paycheck? And is it fair? I know eventually when this is resolved, they're going to get back pay. But can you imagine the stress and the pressure these poor people, these poor TSA agents are under? Their jobs are stressful enough as it is. You're dealing with angry passengers all the time. Let's be honest, a lot of idiots fly. You got to make sure that if there's a terrorist, a terrorist trying to infiltrate something, a bomb or whatever, you have to catch it. So it's not an easy job. It's a thankless job. It's a difficult job. And on top of all of this, now you got to go and miss paycheck after paycheck after paycheck. You can't make your rent. You can't pay your utilities. You can't pay your bills. Many of them now can't even get a meal. You're relying on handouts from passengers who are giving them gift cards to feed yourself and your family. I'm just looking at this from a human point of view, someone who's a breadwinner in my family, and from an American point of view. How do you treat TSA agents like this? How do we treat fellow Americans like this? These aren't welfare deadbeats. These aren't illegal aliens who came into our country illegally and sit around and collect a check all day and do nothing, living off the taxpayer. They come up, they show up to work. Many of them work crazy hours. They do the job to the best of their abilities. They're there to protect us. And every TSA agent I've ever encountered, smile, nice attitude. I'm sure there's a few bad apples, but overall, they've been very good to me, very good to my family. They try to do their job, as I said, to the best of their ability. It's not an easy job. It's a hard job. It's a thankless job. And now you got to add the immense stress and pressure. Your landlord is saying, I'm going to evict you. The power company says they're going to shut your power off. You don't know how you're going to feed your kids. Many of them have had to quit their jobs. Others are not showing up to work. Others are moonlighting and taking a second job, meaning they're working at night. And they're coming into work utterly exhausted and they don't get paid for a day's work. How long could you go without a paycheck? Many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, it just is what it is. You knock out one paycheck, you knock out two paychecks, now you knock out three paychecks. Most Americans, that's it, it's done, they're done. So why are we putting this kind of pressure, this massive burden on people who've done nothing but do their jobs? And the Democrats are proud of this. In fact, that's their whole strategy, is to hold funding for DHS hostage, like a political hostage, like the mullahs in Iran, or like, the Hamas in Gaza. You hold the American people and you hold these workers in particular hostage to force the Republicans to weaken immigration enforcement. I mean, these people are sick. But how long could you hold out? Honestly, if you were in their shoes, how long could you hold out? And after a while, do you just say it's not worth it and quit? 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Vince in Deutschland, in Germany. Thanks for holding, Vince. And as always, welcome. Vince? All right, we're not connecting with Vince. Let's see if we can reconnect. Hang on, Vince. Let's see if Mike can work his magic. Kim in the Keys. I assume the Florida Keys. Kim, are you in the Florida Keys?
I'm the Florida Keys in
Yes.
Key Largo. Yeah. Went through TSA a couple days ago. They make it sound like, so what if they put National Guard or whoever at the airport that, they're just going to oops, you don't have your real ID, or just trip over a gun and just shoot people. So it's just going to go willy-nilly. It's so stupid.
That's what they're saying. I'm not kidding. I mean, you don't have your real ID, or let's say your passport is not in order or whatever, they're going to just shoot you dead. Or they're going to arrest you even though you're an American. They're just going to, you're an American? Well, we don't care because you look like a Latina, or, you look like a minority, or you look like someone who could be from a third world country, or just handcuff them. And the person's like, no, I'm an American citizen. What are you doing? Shut up. Bang, bang, bang. I mean, that's the lie, this sick, evil fantasy that the Democrats are pushing online and the Democrats are pushing publicly. That ICE agents go around hunting to arrest and shoot people who, quote, don't look like Americans. It's the biggest lie I've ever heard. Honestly, it's the biggest pile of bull, you know what, Bravo Sierra I've ever heard. But that's the line they're pushing, Kim. Now, this is going to backfire because now ICE is going to be unmasked. And everybody that's traveling says, they're so nice. They're like, other law enforcement. They're just law enforcement. That's all they are. Except they just enforce immigration law. That's all. And they go, they're very professional, competent, polite, decent people who do their jobs, and look at them. They're not the monsters that they've been portrayed to be, that they want us to believe. That's why I think this is going to blow up in the Democrats' face. But that's me. Kim, have you flown lately? Have you interacted with TSA? Have you interacted with the lines? How bad is flying out there right now, Kim, in the beautiful Florida Keys?
Just you got to wait and stuff, but And that whole thing about you can pay $45 if you don't have your real ID yet, they make it sound like they're going to like go back to the third grade when you had a 5-cent overdue thing at the library, but they just like, you paid the $45, you go. Like, and they're not going to, a travel agent told me that that's going to stop in November, but that's going to go the way of the toll booths. Wasn't that supposed to go away when the highways are paid for? They're going to keep doing that 45 dinging for the no real ID. There's no way they're going to stop that revenue source.
Well, you're right, Kim. I mean, it's like the tolls. You know, in theory, they're only supposed to be there until the road is paid off. The road is paid off, and those tolls are still there. So you're right. That $45 that they get, that's not going away. They're just going to keep milking that and milking that. That's going to be there forever, Kim. Kim, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. So Kim says the Democrats are being ridiculous, acting like these are stormtroopers, that ICE agents are going to go around willy-nilly shooting people, arresting people. 617-266-6868. Dave in Lawrence. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you, Dave?
Jeff, I'll tell you, I love the idea of the ICE being at the airport. Because, Jeff, there's so many characters going through the airport. You don't know who they are, because I saw some strange characters coming back and going. So yeah, they should have the TSA. They're not getting paid. The ICE could take care of it a little bit easier, make things a lot smoother. So I definitely agree with the whole deal, Jeff. And Jeff, there's some characters that I saw. I'm like, why do people want to wear dark sunglasses from the inside a building? Makes no sense to me, Jeff. And some of them look pretty strange. So you never know you never know who's getting on the plane, especially when you hear that guy that came through the border. You gotta know who I am someday soon. I mean, come on, Jeff. There's so many sleeper cells around. You don't know who or where they are. They could be living right next door to you and not even know about it. And Jeff, I need a commission. Because, Jeff, a lot of friends of mine are listening, especially auto body and auto parts drivers and people who do work on cars like Skippies and Malden. Jeff, a lot of people that I know are listening, and a lot of friends of mine are listening.
Well, Dave, you're right, by the way, on every count. Terrorists would love to get a bomb on a plane. The Iranian mullahs, if they could draw American blood on American soil in a mass casualty terrorist attack, it would be a huge victory for them. And we know they're trying. They've told us they're trying. They've actually told us they've activated sleeper cells in the United States. That's why I said that that the Democrats would not fund the Department of Homeland Security is, to me, beyond unforgivable. It's unconscionable what they've done. And so, to me, that alone, never mind that now they're trying to frighten people into thinking that if ICE agents show up, you're going to get slaughtered or murdered or falsely arrested. So what they're really trying to do is they're trying to get, anti-ICE activists to show up at the airport, to block traffic, to confront ICE, to create an incident, as if the airports aren't stressful enough and chaotic and disruptive enough. So now you want to add that element to it? Look, there's got to be a point where President Trump has to address the country and just say once and for all, the Democrats are the enemy of the American people. They want the mullahs to win this war. They're on the side of the enemy. Now they've shut down the Department of Homeland Security. We cannot protect our shorelines. We cannot protect the homeland. We can't even now have airports functioning properly. You have airports now that are overwhelmed, 4, 5, 6 hour waiting lines. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen if this thing is not fixed. Eventually, airports are just going to have to shut down. There's going to be a point where the airport says, look, forget it. We just can't continue. Not like this. We're just going to have to shut airports down. Now, what is going to happen if our airports aren't working, if they're shut down? The country's going to grind to a halt. And over what? This is the question now. Over what? So we don't deport violent, criminal, illegal aliens? Now, here, let me just give all of you an example. Okay, I could do this every show for 4 hours, but let me just give you the latest. You have Hakeem Jeffries, and you have Da Nang Dick, and you have all of these other prominent Democrats who are crying because ICE is going to be deployed to airports. And ICE is the enemy. They always vilify ICE. They always demonize ICE. But notice, they never vilify or demonize the violent illegal aliens that Joe Biden let into this country by the millions and millions and millions. So, out in Chicago, an 18-year-old student at Loyola University, her name is Sheridan Gorman, freshman, with a group of friends on a Thursday night, decided to take a walk about a mile away from the campus. Get some fresh air, maybe take a selfie or two as they were walking around. And it was the fatal mistake of her life to think that she could walk a mile away from her campus with her friends to get some fresh air after a night of studying. Because they ran into a Venezuelan illegal alien. Jose Medina is his name, who came in under Biden, was caught at the border, catch and release, even though he's an illegal from Venezuela, clearly a very disturbed man. They let him into the country. They just let him in, catch and release. He was then 6 months later arrested for shoplifting. This is Chicago, sanctuary city. They released him under Joe Biden. He walked up to her for no reason whatsoever. There are multiple witnesses. Pulled out his gun and shot her right in the head. Boom. And this 18-year-old girl fell like a sack of potatoes. She fell right on the ground. Dead. Dead. An 18-year-old girl, woman, she's 18, is now dead. Dead. Has Pritzker condemned it? No. Has the mayor of Chicago, that crazy Democrat, that radical, Brandon Johnson, Mr. Open Sanctuary City, has he condemned it? Nyet. Has anybody in the liberal media condemned it? Nyet. Has Hakeem Jeffries, has he ever said illegal aliens will brutalize and kill your family? Nyet. Da Nang Dick, does he run out and say, oh my God, we opened the border, we let all of these illegals pour in. They're gonna massacre our families. They're gonna go around shooting people. Nyet. No, absolutely not. Because that is verboten for the Democratic Party to dare criticize violent, sadistic, criminal, illegal aliens. But they go day and night against ICE. ICE is there to deport people like Jose Medina. To not let them in the first place. And if they do come in, to deport them promptly, pronto. Yet you want to defund them? You want to weaken them? You want to undermine them? That tells you everything you need to know. Now, how many more Laken Rileys? How many more now Sheridan Gormans? How many more do we have to have before we finally say enough is enough? And God bless her family, but now they're reduced to writing a letter to the governor of Illinois, sanctuary state, to the mayor of Chicago, sanctuary city, and to the Democratic Party saying, can somebody please be held accountable for the death of our 18-year-old daughter? She was innocent. She did nothing to anybody. She wanted to study, get a degree, have a life, get married, raise a family. She had her whole world in front of her. And by the way, all of her friends are coming out and saying, salt of the earth. You will not meet a nicer person than Sheridan Gorman. Always with a big, beautiful smile. You can see the picture of her. The Italians have an expression, a face like bread. A face like bread. With those big, wholesome cheeks. And what was her crime? Taking a walk? By the way, I remember being a college student. I'd be up studying till midnight, 1 o'clock. I'd go out, take a breath of fresh air, get a little bit of a walk in, go back and study some more. Especially when there's exams. You do what's called an all-nighter. That was the expression. You just basically study all night and then go to the exam and take the exam, and then you go home and you crash. Or to the dorm room and you just crash because you've been studying so hard. And for this, you pay with your life? And I go back to what Aaron said in Nevada. I've never seen more horrible messaging and public relations in my entire life. How the hell is it that the party that is directly responsible for the shutdown, I mean, Republicans have said it again and again, here's the money, we're going to pass the money, fund DHS, fund TSA, fund the Coast Guard, fund FEMA, fund everything. Here it is. And the Democrat, I think it's 6 times now they voted it down. I think the last one was just a couple days ago. And yet almost a majority of the American people blame Republicans for the TSA crisis. How does that happen? How does that happen? So I'm sick and tired. I don't know about you, but really I'm sick and tired. How many more Americans have to be murdered and slaughtered on our streets by people who have no right and no business coming into our country? And the party that let them in and now refuses to get them out. Remember, they're the ones urging these anti-ICE left-wing radicals, these domestic terrorists, to impede and interfere and block ICE from arresting people like Jose Medina and deporting people like Jose Medina. To the point that they're so loathed and hated that if ICE agents expose their faces and you see their name tag, they literally get threats on their lives and that of their wives and children. That they can't feel safe in their own home because they're going to be targeted because the left is convinced their supporters these are modern day SS fascist thugs. Now, something is seriously wrong here. So my advice to the president, you shame the Democrats. You bring Sheridan Gorman's parents right to the White House, and you stand up and you hold a picture of her right to the camera and say, look at this 18-year-old girl. Hakeem Jeffries got her killed. Chuck Schumer got her killed. Joe Biden got her killed. You in the media, sitting right here, you see this woman here? You see this young woman? You got her killed. And those SOBs won't even fund DHS and fund the department so we can get rid of people like Jose Medina who murdered Sheridan Gorman? And just hammer it and hammer it and hammer it and hammer it, that same point over and over and over and over and over again. Like, I mean, are we serious about this or are we not serious? This is an invasion. The invaders are picking off Americans every single day. The bodies are piling up. I'm not even going to get into the drugs and the fentanyl, and I'm not even going to get into that. The gangs, I'm not even going to get into that. So this is where we are. So I don't care. Put in ICE, put in the National Guard, do what you got to do. But in the end, DHS needs to be funded, period, full stop. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree? Let's go to Maggie in Amesbury. Thanks for holding, Maggie, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Maggie.
I think it's a brilliant idea by Trump, and I think that it reflects sending in the ICE agents. It reflects him as a fixer. I mean, that is one of the main reasons I voted for him. He's a problem solver. But, Jeff, I wanted to ask, is it possible for him President Trump, to write an executive order that fines every one of these Congress people that continue to vote to shut any government agency down? They're using it as a tool. I'm sick of it, and we need to hit them back. Is that possible to fine them significantly anytime any congressperson, Republican or Democrat, votes to shut an agency down and that affects the American people?
No. I mean, I wish he could, but no, it legally wouldn't stand. In fact, the Republicans, to their credit, tried to pass a law, a bill in Congress that would make it illegal to shut the government down. In other words, if the government gets shut down, then members of Congress don't get paid. And the Democrats shot it down. They said, absolutely not. We're getting paid. See, the thing you have to understand about the swamp is they always get paid. It doesn't matter. They always get paid. If we go to war, they get paid. If illegals pour into our country, they get paid. If there's a massive government shutdown and people are laid off or don't go, go weeks and months, even without a paycheck, they get paid. They always get paid. Their interests are always advanced, them and their donors. I mean, I'm not trying to rile people up. I'm just telling you that's what it is. But, in theory, they're supposed to be working for us. This whole country is based on consent of the governed. And Congress is supposed to be our employee, not our boss, but our employee. They work for us. We don't work for them. And, I don't think we're asking for too much. In the middle of a war, can you please fund a department that's supposed to protect and defend Homeland Security? Coast Guard, in case, I don't know, the mullahs try to send in sleeper cells on the shores. Don't you think we should have the Coast Guard ready to protect them? In case they want to send a suicide bomber, as they've done many times in the past, to blow up a plane. Maybe we should have, fully funded TSA and agents who are not living check to check. Or sorry, what check to check? Agents who are not living check to check, who haven't gotten a paycheck in over a month. And 400 of them have already quit. And thousands of them are calling in sick every day. They don't want to work. Why? Because they're not getting paid. And so you've got lines going back 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. And Maggie, it's not just that the lines are going back 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. It's that they're openly saying, and even with those long lines, we're not doing a proper, thorough job. You've got basically 1 or 2 people handling tens of thousands. We're just trying to get them through. Okay, go on through. Okay, go on through. Okay, go on through. So they're skimping on basic security procedures. Now, I'm telling you, I know this may sound crazy, but I know I'm right. Deep down, remember I said this about Minneapolis before it happened. I said, watch. They want a crazy left-wing activist to lose their head, to die, so that they can then turn it on ICE and on Trump. And Renee Good and Alex Preddy were pawns, and they were used. They were told repeatedly, impede ICE, come in and block an arrest that was taking place, obstruct an officer as they're making an arrest, because they know eventually someone's going to get shot and someone's going to get killed. Well, now what they're doing is, I believe that they want a terrorist to get through and blow up a plane or blow up something at the airport, and they will turn around and say, you see, Trump got us into this because of the war in Iran. You see, he can't even keep us safe. You see? So they are playing with our lives. And I don't know how you can do that. In good conscience, I don't know how you can do that. But they do. And the media covers up for the Democrats, and the Democrats are never held accountable. Ever, 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 ever. So no, I believe there should be a law that says if there's a government shutdown, any agency, full shutdown, partial shutdown, I don't care. If they don't get paid, you don't get paid. Period. Full stop. Why should they get paid? To me, I'm like, I'm sorry. Look, what are we asking for? Just again, we're so used to shutdown after shutdown. No other country endures this. I'm not a big fan of the parliamentary system. I think there are a lot of problems with it. But I got to say this, whether it's the Canadian Parliament, the British Parliament, the New Zealand Parliament, the Australian Parliament, the Irish Parliament, wherever the parliamentary system exists, okay? They pass a budget. The budget is passed. That's it. It's passed. It funds everything for the whole year. Move on. I've never seen this before. It's not funded. It's partially funded. It's temporarily funded. It's a continuing resolution. It's funded for 10 days, then another maybe 7 days. Then, okay, we'll fund this part of the government, but we won't fund that part of the government. I've never heard of this in my life. It's your job to pass a freaking budget and to fund every department and every agency in the government. Hello. And if you can't do their job, get out. I'm almost to the point where I'm saying, look, no. If there's a government shutdown, you all lose your jobs. All of you. I don't care. All 535. 435 in the House, 100 in the Senate. Bang. Automatically, you all lose your jobs. We have to do special elections. Because that's, the most basic requirement. It's akin to, if I don't come on the air, I'm not saying whether I'm a good host, a bad host, good topic, bad topic, like me, don't like me. When it's 6 o'clock sharp a.m. and I don't come on the air, what do you think happens? I just don't come on. For whatever reason, I'm not coming on. And it's 6:10. No, 6:15, 6:30, 7 o'clock. There's 4 hours of dead air. And then the next day, 4 hours of dead air. And then the next day, 4 hours of dead air. There's a, quote, Kuhner report shutdown, unquote. How long do you think I have my job? Before management says, hey, Kuhner, your job is to yak on the air. Okay, just to add an exclamation point to that horrifying story of this poor 18-year-old student at Loyola University who was murdered by an illegal alien. Sheridan Gorman is her name. The murderer, Jose Medina, an illegal from Venezuela, allowed in under Joe Biden. In fact, catch and release. He came in through the border. They got him. They released him into the country. Within 6 months, he was already arrested for shoplifting and released by Chicago police because Chicago is a sanctuary city. Now, a local alderwoman or alderman, however you say it, but anyway, it's a woman. She's a Democrat, went in front of the media and basically blamed Sheridan Gorman, the victim who's been murdered, for her death, not the illegal. According to this alderman, she said that, well, she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. That her and her friends, by deciding to take a walk, it was less than a mile away from campus, stretching their legs, that when they were walking, that frightened him. And when he got frightened, he took out his gun. A group of women, they scared him. By walking and talking and laughing, that scared him, that jolted him. And so he took out a gun and he shot her in the head. And so don't you blame the illegal now. No, you got to be careful. You got to talk in a hushed tone. And if you get shot in the head by an illegal, that's your fault. What did you do to antagonize or frighten the illegal alien? That's the sick mentality of these open border Democrats. And that's the sick mentality of the open border Democrats who vilify law enforcement, in this case ICE, rather than the violent criminal illegals who murder, rape, and attack Americans on a daily basis. 617-266-6868. Deb in Foxborough. Thanks for holding, Deb, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Very good. How are you, Deb?
I'm good, thank you. I just want to say, I think Trump needs to come out today and stop anything before it starts as far as the lefties go at the airports. You should say anybody caught at those airports impeding ICE or causing disruptions is going to be put on a no-fly list, period. And, just, hurt them before they even, make them hurt as well as everybody else hurting. And the woman caught from Ecuador at the San Francisco airport yesterday, now she's the media darling. And they're making it seem like she was being tortured and everything. She was resisting. They're all standing around with their cameras, so her face is going to be all over the place for the next few news cycles.
Deb, please, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm so happy you mentioned this. The woman's name is Angelina Lopez, and this happened in California. Deb is completely right. And so the left is saying, because she was arrested, okay, she's an illegal alien from Ecuador, and she was arrested. And the left is already saying, look, she's a mother. She's a mother. And they're showing images of her in handcuffs, in her jeans, and being dragged by law enforcement. And they're saying, look at this, it's already begun. ICE is there arresting mothers, just mothers. In reality, this arrest took place before, I want to stress this now, underline before, ICE was even deployed to any airport. So this had nothing to do with the ICE deployments to the airports. This is a woman where a judge had given her a final removal order. Said, look, you've exhausted all of your appeals. You're here illegally. You've got to go. Get her and deport her. And she was trying to escape a deportation order. That's why they arrested her at the airport. She was trying to get away. That's why they arrested her. So it had nothing to do with ICE being deployed to the airport. And the media knows that. But they want to foster now the lie. And you watch, her face is going to be everywhere. Screaming, crying, no. And she's in handcuffs with her hands tied behind her back, leather jacket and blue jeans. And you have like 3 or 4 law enforcement, trying to arrest her and hold her down and then carry her off. And the media now, you watch, it's going to be 24/7. This is what ICE is doing. Look what they're doing. They're going after mothers, for God's sake. You watch. They're going to loop it and loop it and loop it, even though it's a giant lie. She had a removal order on her by a judge, and this arrest took place before a single ICE agent was deployed. Forget San Francisco, any airport in the country. Deb, please finish. I didn't mean to cut you off. Please finish your point.
Oh, that's okay, Jeff. And also, I agree with Heather, because she said that the Democrats love chaos. They love chaos and misery, because this is the same playbook from December when they shut down.
Well, yeah, when they shut down the government. You're completely right. Look, and that's another thing. How many government shutdowns are we going to have? Full shutdown or partial shutdown? 617-266-6868 is the number. Couple lines are open if you want to jump on. Michael in Framingham. Thanks for holding, Michael, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. Good morning.
Hi, Michael.
First thing, thanks for being the only reasonable and honest voice in Boston media. We do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Of course. The whole business with the left, with going back to George Floyd, to the multiple government shutdowns, not funding DHS, not paying TSA. This is really right out of the Francis Fox Piven playbook of overwhelming the system with the intent to break the system. And the minor players along the way, they don't care about. Minneapolis is another good example. It's from within, and that's probably the most insidious enemy we have.
Michael, I couldn't agree with you more. This is classic Cloward Piven, and this is, Saul Alinsky borrowed from Cloward Piven, Obama and Hillary and Biden, or whoever was controlling Biden, they borrowed from Saul Alinsky and Cloward Piven. And you're right, that's to overwhelm the system so you can destroy and bankrupt the system. And that's why the Democrats, if you notice, on every front, all they do is push chaos. Border, chaos. ICE, chaos. Law enforcement, chaos. Crime, chaos. Politics, whatever it may be, going after Trump, constant impeachments, calling for him to be murdered, looking to put him in prison for 500 years. Chaos, chaos, chaos. Everywhere Democrats go, it's just chaos, chaos, and that's to overwhelm the system so you can break the system. And, when you ask them deep down, when they're honest, and you say, well, what do you ultimately want to replace the system with? I mean, you're talking about the greatest system in the history of the world, the greatest Constitution, the greatest Bill of Rights. No country has provided more freedom and more prosperity to more people ever in history. So, A, why do you want to replace it? But B, what do you want to replace it with? And if they're honest, they will tell you communism. What they have in Cuba. What they, still have, I guess, in Venezuela or in China, or what they had in the old Soviet Union, where you have one party of radical left-wing Marxist elites controlling your lives, our economy, our culture, our society, the way we think, the way we act, our behavior. That's what they want. Because ultimately they're about power and control. And what they hate about America is that power and control resides with the people, not with the elites. And that they can't stand. That's anathema to them. It's like showing a cross to a vampire. They just, it's like dealing with the devil and throwing holy water at him. They can't deal with it. It's the thing they loathe and hate the most. So that's why, if you notice, their plan is always to chip away. With the left and the Democrats, freedom always gets curtailed. It never gets expanded. You never get more freedom. You always get more control and regulation over your life. And that's how it's been in every successive Democrat administration. And pretty much now we're at the breaking point. And look, to be fair to them, here, Pritzker, since we're talking about that poor Loyola student, that poor woman, 18 years old, student that got killed, brutally murdered, shot in the head by an illegal. Pritzker has openly said he calls it Project 2029. What's Project 2029? The Democrats want to roar back to power in the midterms, win the presidency in 2028. They get inaugurated in January 2029. And Pritzker said, no, I've talked to the grand poobahs in the Democratic Party, all of the leaders, and we have an agreement. We're going to put Trump supporters in jail. You can read the interview. I mean, it's widely reported. People in his administration, he even said, even if they didn't commit criminal acts, just for the fact that they served in his administration, they will go to jail. Prominent members in the business community or in corporate America that supported Trump or any of his initiatives, we're going to put them in jail. Susan Rice said the same thing. People in the media who actually dare to defend MAGA and America first, we're going to come after you. So that means me. So what I'm saying is they're already announcing, like the communists, mass arrests. For what crime? Political crime. You dare to oppose the Democrat regime. So, if it walks like a Bolshevik, talks like a Bolshevik, acts like a Bolshevik, it's a Bolshevik. And the only thing that's changed is that you would have to flush them out before. They were in the shadows. They were in the sewers. They wouldn't say this. Now they openly say it because they feel that they're close to capturing complete, total national power. They look at Mamdani in New York. They look at Michelle Wu in Boston. They look at that idiot Brandon Johnson in Chicago. They look at Barbara Lee in Oakland. They look at, Karen Bass in Los Angeles. They see an open socialist in Seattle, and they're like, look at these big cities. They're falling in our hands like a ripe fruit. And all we got to do now is steal one more election. That's why they're going to block the SAVE Act with everything that they have. All they need is one more stolen election, and then it's over. That's why they don't want illegals deported, because they're going to give them amnesty. They're going to have them vote in voter fraud to steal the election, and then when they steal it, they're giving them amnesty. And then it's good night, Irene. One-party rule for the entire country. So, Michael, you hit the nail right on the head. Right on the head. Michael, thank you so much for that call. I really appreciate it. Let me just say this, okay? To TSA agents or officials who are listening to the Kuhner Report, and I know there are many of you because whenever I fly through Logan, occasionally through TF Green in Providence, I always run into TSA agents every time I fly. And they say, oh, Kuhner man, love your show. Kuhner man, listen all the time. So to all of you TSA agents, please, I want to encourage you to call. I want to hear from you. Have you quit because you just simply, can't continue not getting a paycheck, not being able to feed your family, pay your rent, pay your bills, pay your utilities? Or if you're still working, but obviously you're going without a paycheck now for, 2 cycles, almost 3 now, over 35 days you haven't been paid. I want to ask you, how are you coping? How are you getting by? And how close are many of you to just walking away? What is it like for you as a TSA agent right now? 617-266-6868 is the number. Maria in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Maria, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff.
Hi, Maria.
This is what I think, and it's from my little town all the way up to the top. None of them, Democrats, Republicans, they don't care. They don't care about us. I'm the one that called in and said Republicans like to lose because it's less work and less things that they're responsible for, and they still get their paycheck. But on the whole, Congress, the Senate, we've spent so much time propping them up, calling them elites, our betters, the ruling class. They're not. They're just our crappy next door neighbors that walked into the right place at the right time. But they don't care. There's 350 million of us. They don't care if they lose. They don't even care if they lose half of us, because they'll open the door and they'll replace us with more subservient people. They don't care. They continue to get their paychecks. All the laws and the rules that they make for us little people that are supposed to be in charge, they don't have to follow. They exempt themselves. They exempt themselves from the crappy health insurance that they drop on us. And those of us that didn't want it, we had to get stuck paying finger quotes, a tax until that got repealed. But they get what? Top-notch health care at the drop of a dime. They get to fly private. Why? Bernie.
Maria, you're on a roll. Can you please hang on? I really want you to finish your point. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go right back to Maria in New Hampshire. She was on a roll. saying that the ruling class, they are above the law. They exempt themselves from everything. They give us garbage, say Obamacare, garbage health care. They give themselves gold-plated health care. The crimes that they commit, they're never prosecuted for. All the corruption, all of the insider trading, all of the illicit amassing of wealth. If you or I did that, we'd be in jail and they'd throw away the key. Them, they just keep right on rolling. Maria, please pick up where you left off.
Care. I saw it right in my face in my tiny town that I know these people are my neighbors. They push through whatever rulings that they want before they even let you come up to talk about it. And that's what they do from bottom to top. They don't care. They don't, it's very sad what happened to that college student. But do you think one Democrat or Republican, for that matter, do you think one of them cares?
No.
Not one, because you know what? It never touches them. Ever. It never touches them. So what do they have to worry about? I mean, look at Kamala Harris. She's technically a private citizen now, but we're still paying for her protection as she goes around trying to sell her stupid books that no one's going to buy. Why? Why do we keep putting up with this? It's the idea of, where the Second Amendment is supposed to protect us from an overbearing ruling class, which they're not even supposed to be a ruling class. Aren't they supposed to be public servants? None of that affects them. Nothing. So what are we supposed to do when we the people are not going to rise up? We're not. I go to all of your rallies, and it's usually the same group of people that go to every rally. They're not. We can't even. We have 27,000 people in my little town. Do you know how many people come out to vote? 1,800. How do we win? We don't. People sit on their hands and they do nothing, and they allow these people in Washington to do whatever they want to do. I don't know what else to say.
Well, Maria, hopefully, look, things have to get worse before they get better. I mean, that's just a fact of life. And things are going to get worse, and they're going to continue to get worse. And I honestly thought that the Biden presidency would have taught Democrats a lesson once and for all. But no, what is very clear, what we've seen under Trump now over a year and couple months, you see it now with their hatred for ICE. You see what Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are openly saying and advocating. What the Democrats are openly advocating is they want to take us back to the Joe Biden years. They want to take us back to the Biden era. They've openly said it. We win. We're going to reopen the borders. So you're going to get another 10, 15, 20 million pouring in. Now, I don't know how we can pay for this, really, because we're already at the breaking point. So you're going to put another 10, 15 million on welfare? You're going to have another 10, 15 million, those that do work, steal more jobs? You're going to have even more crime, more death, more murder, more rapes, more drugs, more fentanyl? But that's what they say. They say they're going to reopen the border, and they're going to give amnesty now to illegals. They've openly said it. And they are going to spend trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. They're going to reintroduce the Green New Deal. They want Medicare for all. So the inflation that we had under Biden is going to come back. Forget the inflation we have under Trump, the 2.5%, now the higher gas prices and energy costs because of the war. I'm not talking that. I'm talking what we had under Biden. 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50% inflation raging across the board. So, okay. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. If that's what the Democrats want, then that's what you're going to get. And that's why I feel a bit like, a lone wolf in the wilderness saying we're going to get wiped out in the midterms if we don't turn things around. And when the Democrats come back to power, believe me, impeachment is going to be the least of Donald Trump's problems. They don't want to just impeach him. They want to destroy him and his administration. They want to put him and his family behind bars. They want to put members of his administration behind bars. They want to put some of his most prominent supporters behind bars. Like, they're not... Listen, the thing about communists, yes, they're incompetent. Yes, they run your country into the ground. But I'm sorry, unlike these neoconservatives, unlike these rhinos, unlike these establishment Republicans, and I can name you one after another. Here, let's just do a compare and contrast. Look at AOC and compare her to Mitch McConnell. Look at Ilhan Omar, idiot that she is. Some people did something, fine. Just compare her to John Thune. Now, you can say whatever you want about AOC and Ilhan Omar. Dumb as a box of bricks? Yes. Crazy socialist radicals? Yes. Traitors to the core? Yes. But they are serious people. They're serious. People of the left are... I've always noticed this about leftists. They're very serious. They may be stupid. They may be buffoonish. They may be, comical in how dumb they are. But they're very serious about power, about getting power and maintaining power. John Thune is a little whore. Mitch McConnell is a little whore. I mean, who are we kidding? They'll serve any master. Just pay them. They're not serious. John Thune is not a serious man. He's not serious about winning and beating the Democrats. Mitch McConnell Mitch McConnell was for Mitch McConnell. So what I'm trying to say is we're underestimating our enemy because in some ways, yeah, they are. They're idiotic. They champion a philosophy that has been so discredited, that is so morally and intellectually bankrupt. You think, how could anybody with half a brain support this? But they are deadly serious about wielding power. In fact, that's their God. Ultimately, it's power. The church is the Democratic Party, but their God, what they worship, is power. And they have a lust for power that's almost insatiable. And they will do anything in the name of power. And that's what makes them so dangerous. That's what historically has made them so dangerous. So when you say they don't care about us, look, they so love open borders and they so want to discredit ICE. An 18-year-old, I say girl affectionately, of course she's an adult now, but an 18-year-old girl. Okay, and to me, when my daughter grows up to be 18, she's still going to be my little girl. I know she's an adult on paper, but to me, she's my little girl. And let me be even more, if I can be even more personal. And I know I'm going to get blowback for this, but I don't care. Sheridan Gorman is a little bit on the pudgy side. Well, why would I say that? Because my Ava is a little bit on the pudgy side. Okay? And she's always been a little bit pudgy. And you see pictures of Sheridan when she was young, just like my Ava. A bit of an eater. She likes to eat. She has a zest for life and a good appetite. When I saw that poor girl with those big, beautiful cheeks and her long hair, I said, it's like a spitting image of my own daughter. A spitting image of my own daughter. That in 5 years, Ava's already 13. She's going to be 14 in September. In 5 years, that could be my daughter. Do you understand? That literally, the look, her face, everything about her, her outgoing personality, she loved friends. Sheridan loved friends, loved people, loved to socialize, loved to talk, just a happy, bubbly personality. That's my Ava to a T. To a T. Okay, to a T. So when I saw pictures of that poor girl, when she was growing up, when I see pictures of her now when she graduated from high school, and that this man, this illegal scumbag, this illegal alien scumbag, this POS, walked up to her for no reason and shot her right in the freaking head. And you don't give a damn? That's my daughter. That could be your daughter. That could be your child. That's how much they love and crave power. They can't even acknowledge, they can't even say, okay, the violent murderers out. No. ICE is right to go after them. No. Okay, them. We made a mistake. Biden let this guy in. I'm just using him as an example. Jose Medina, Biden let him in. Biden catch and release. You let him in. Now, you think Bill in Sudbury is ever going to call and say, you know, Jeff, I got to admit, I backed Biden on everything, and on this I was wrong. I mean, we let in murderers, for God's sake. That poor Sheridan Gorman is now dead. That was a mistake, and we'll never repeat that. No. It's all about power, because Jose Medina is a voter. Jose Medina is with them. He's part of them. Now, I want you to think how sick that is. But that's what we've now become as a country. That's what the Democrats have. Look, Trump said something. No truer words were ever said. Never spoken. No truer words were ever spoken. And he got tremendous blowback for it because it's the truth. Trump said, after the mullahs in Iran, the greatest enemy we face are the Democrats. And the media, the Dems, libs, I mean, they're going apoplectic. They're losing their minds. But it's all true. I mean, you invite an invasion. These invaders are literally killing Americans dead on the streets. Never mind bankrupting us. And you side with the invader? You want to cripple the one agency that is tasked with deporting them and sending them back and protecting the innocent public. I mean, how much clearer can you make it? Here, now the war in Iran. They're openly hoping for the mullahs to win. They want the Islamic Republic to win. And secretly what they're hoping is that more American soldiers die and more Americans die, so the blowback will be against Trump, and that his poll numbers will collapse so they can beat him in November and then impeach him and then imprison him and probably execute him and his family. If you really want, look, they even say, if you want, I'll play you Ana Navarro. Here, Ana Navarro. Here, I'll play it. What the hell? So, as you know, President Trump, and I'm going to come back to you, Maria, I promise. President Trump, Robert Mueller died, 81 years old, okay? Mr., who led the Trump-Russia collusion. Okay, the guy who put the country through hell on this fake witch hunt and knew that it was all for a frame-up of President Trump. They knew it. Okay, Mueller knew it. He still went through it. Lie after lie, hoax after hoax, destroyed countless people's lives, destroyed much of Trump's presidency, went after Trump, went after his wife, went after his kids, went after his family. And Trump said, upon the news of his death, he said, good. He goes, now we can't hurt other people. And the left is acting like this is the worst thing that Trump could have ever said, that any president could say. How dare you say good? Former FBI director, winner of a Bronze Star, winner of a Purple Heart. And you say good that he died? How dare you? How dare you? Charlemagne de God came out and said, when Trump drops dead, it's going to be like Mardi Gras. They're going to be popping, the left, liberals are going to be popping champagne corks. They're going to be dancing on the streets, drinking champagne and getting drunk because they're going to be so happy that Trump is dead. Listen now to Ana Navarro on The View saying to Trump, how dare you celebrate the death of Robert Mueller? In other words, how dare you say good? And then what she says, don't worry, when you die, and it's going to happen soon, we are going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate like it's New Year's Eve, baby. Roll cut 22, Mike.
You know, and it's the hypocrisy of this entire situation that I think is something that we can't get numb to.
Yeah.
And I just want to remind people, though, because I've heard very few Republicans condemn this weekend. I saw the Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, say we should have empathy, not to the family of Robert Mueller, but for Donald Trump is who we should have empathy for.
Yeah.
This is the same thing he did with John McCain after he died. This is the same thing he did with Rob Reiner. This is who he is because he is a mean person with a dark heart, verbal diarrhea, and no impulse control. But let me just say this. Karma never forgets an address.
Listen.
And he is 80 years old. He's got obvious, visible physical ailments. And there will be people that when he passes away, as we will all pass away, will write these type of things and celebrate.
There you go. They want him dead. Okay, they want him dead. By the way, I wouldn't be talking about evil, dark hearts if I were the Democrats. Not after the way they, including her, cheered and celebrated at Butler when he was shot in the ear. And their complaint was, you shouldn't have missed. You should have hit him right in the head and blown his brains out. Okay, so I wouldn't go on about evil, dark hearts if I were them. Okay, but let that go. My point is this: they don't just want him impeached. They don't even just want him imprisoned. They want him dead. They want his family dead, and increasingly they want his supporters dead. So what I'm saying is they're so infected and consumed with power, so corrupted by power, that now murdering a president, murdering his supporters, murdering his administration, that's nothing to them. Never mind some poor 18-year-old freshman who got shot for no reason whatsoever, killed, shot in the head by an illegal. So, Maria, they don't give a damn about us. They hate us. They hate us to the point that they want to kill us. What say you?
I have to say at the end of this, that was great, Jeff. Just remember COVID. That's what they want to do. That's what they want. They want that full control forever. That's what they want. Just keep in mind that they were jealous of the Chinese, how they were able to lock everyone down and control it all, because that's what they want to bring back.
Maria, dynamite call. Dynamite. Thank you for that call. Dave in Rhode Island. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Dave?
Not too bad. First off, on that Project 29 that Pritzker was talking about,
yes,
he's not going to make it because that guy couldn't tear himself away from a buffet for more than 5 minutes. You know that as well as I do. Unless there's a buffet there. Secondly, all these Antifa punks and all these stupid white women who protest ICE like in Minnesota, please show up at the airport. Hold up ICE and hold up people from getting on their flights. Let's see how that works out for them.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Think about
Dave, do you fear an incident at one? In other words, a Renee Good, an Alex Preddy, whatever, attacking an ICE officer, or, like Alex Preddy carrying a gun with him and then running up to an ICE officer and provoking a confrontation. And then, they see gun, and then something goes off. Do you fear that these left-wing provocateurs, they're looking to cause an incident and have it happen at an airport, which would then shock the conscience of the country? Is that, what do you think? I mean, are they beneath that, or do you think they can actually do something like this?
Oh, I think they can do something like that, but keep in mind, I'm not sure, but I do believe that...
Please don't swear, Dave. The S word and the F word are the two words that can get me a $1 million fine. Yeah, okay, no. So, yeah, okay. So anyway, you can't pull crap like that. I hear you, Dave. Okay, keep going, my friend.
And, it's just absurd. Why would anybody in their right mind want to hold up other people who are trying to go on vacation or a business trip or whatever. You know, maybe you'll have it in some airports. I don't know. Maybe here, you know, I'm flying tomorrow. I hope it's as easy as can be. And that's that.
Dave, if you don't mind me asking, are you going through Logan or TF Green?
I went through TF Green a couple of weeks ago. Mind you, it was early in the morning, as it will be tomorrow. And it really had no trouble. It was no different than any other time. I think if there are TSA agents listening, I thank them for working without a paycheck. God bless you all.
Oh, very nice sentiment. Dave, thank you very much. And I hope you have a very safe and comfortable travel. I hope you don't have a long line. Dave, thank you so much for that call. By the way, TF Green, great airport. I have to say, great airport. I much prefer it over Logan. Sometimes I have no choice. I've got to go through Logan. But TF Green, it's a small airport, so it's more like these regional flights, but clean and fast, or at least it was before the shutdown. And the TSA agents, both at Logan as well, they're great. But, you know, TF Green, super friendly, super nice. So if you live in the area, if you can fly through TF Green, I know it costs a little more. It's worth it. Because Logan is a huge airport, and man, it's always chaotic. 617-266-6868 is the number. Mags in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mags, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff, and as always, God bless you with Sandy and Mike for everything that you do and keep you safe in these difficult times in this country. Listen, I just want to say a couple of things. What I find ironic, okay, is that everything that they say about us, these liberals, are exactly what they are. They're criminals, they're liars, they're thieves. What I would really like to see is all these illegals smarten up and turn around and go after them instead of going after the people that actually trying to get rid of them. Yes, we are. But we just want them to come in legally. I would like to call once again, as I have every month on the Kuhner Report, for the rule of law to come back to this country for every single person in this country. Because that is what is wrong with us all the way around. If we brought that back, Jeff, we'd be in a lot better position right now. But because nobody follows the laws, which many of your people have brought up this morning, okay, this is why we're in the position we're in. People need to be arrested for every single crime they commit, whether it's a parking violation, if that's what it takes, whether it's a speeding, whether it's stealing, whether it's killing somebody, whatever it is. They need to take the punishment with the consequences. That's what needs to be done. And until we do that, we're going to continue to just drown in our own oceans. Because until we start arresting these people, all of them, the government employees, the senators, anybody that commits any kind of crime, because these people have continuously committed treason against us and gotten away with it. So why wouldn't they continue to do it?
Well, just to add to what you're saying, and you're 1,000%, not 100, 1,000% correct. Here, just stand back for a second. How does that slob, Pritzker, who's violating the law? It's illegal to be a sanctuary state. It's illegal. And he goes out there and basically says, don't blame me for what happened to that poor 18-year-old freshman, Sheridan Gorman. Don't blame me. I'm not to blame for any of this. Or the crazy mayor of Brandon Johnson, who has a sanctuary city in Chicago. So here they're basically, the policy is, if you're an illegal alien, come on down. If you come into this country illegally, you come to our state or our city, we are going to protect you, coddle you, shield you from ICE. You will not be deported. In fact, we'll do everything in our power to help you avoid and evade ICE. And this poor woman with her friends simply taking a walk at 1:30 in the morning after a night of studying. They want to stretch their legs, get some air, cramming for exams. They're not even a mile, less than a mile away from their campus. And he walks up to one of them completely unprovoked, just walks up to him because he's a sicko and shoots her right in the head. Bang. And she's dead. How does Pritzker not get arrested for this? How does Brandon Johnson not be arrested for this? His policies directly led to this illegal finding refuge, a safe haven in that state, in that city, and executing an innocent young American woman in cold blood. And on top of it all, the Democrat response, I can play it if you want me to, from the local city council is, she's to blame. She was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Don't blame the illegal for shooting her in the head. No. Well, what was she doing out at 1:30? That's none of your business. She has every right to be out at 1:30. Well, I'm sorry. What was she? She was walking around near the campus. I'm sorry. She startled him. So that justifies him shooting her in the head? I mean, look, Mags, there's a certain point where the country has to say enough is enough. A traitor is a traitor is a traitor. And for the life of me, how is this woman not the poster child for treasonous radical Democrats? I mean, the Republicans right now should be politically on the offensive, saying this could be your daughter, and then point to all the victims. On and on. How many of our women and children and men and fellow Americans have to be slaughtered and killed before we as a country say enough is enough? Deport them all, deport them now. But instead, you're completely right, Mags. These politicians are never held accountable. But, if I was to declare my home a sanctuary home, well, I don't got to pay taxes. I'm a sanctuary home. If I declared that, for whatever reason, I don't want to work and pay my taxes, then they throw my ass in jail. They confiscate everything and throw my ass in jail. So these politicians can break their oath, violate the law, literally violate the law, and people get slaughtered, people get killed, and they're not held accountable. So, look, this only ends if the Republicans grow a set and finally say, no, you're going to jail. This happens under your watch. You're going to jail. What say you, Mags?
Few things that I'd like to say, but I will keep it short. If this doesn't happen, everybody can say goodbye to the United States of America, because we are a country that our rules and our laws are what make our country. Again, also the Constitution of this country. All right, that's what protects us.
That's what binds us together. That's what holds us together. Equality under the law. Okay, listen up, my friends. If you want the best way to hear the Kuhner Report every day, it's simple. The iHeartRadio app. It's free. It's easy. It lets you take the show with you wherever you go. And here is the big announcement. We are now launching something absolutely brand new. Kuhner's Talk Back Tit for Tat. On the iHeart app, you look in the upper right corner for the red microphone. Tap it and boom, baby, you can leave a message for me, for Sandy, and even for Mike. Tell us what's on your mind. Respond to something you heard on the show. Agree with us. Disagree with us. Give us your tit for tat. No filters. No gatekeepers. Leave your messages anytime during the week. Every Monday in the final segment of the show, we're going to play back the best talkbacks on the air. Your voice becomes part of the Kuhner Report. So download the iHeart app, hit that red microphone, and join Kuhner's Talkback, Tit for Tat, where the listeners fire back. And please, no swearing. Say whatever you want. You can dump on me all you want. They can swear. You guys are just going to bleep it out. All right, so you can even swear. Don't worry, Mike will bleep it out. So just let it all out. Mike in Rhode Island. Thanks for holding, Mike. And welcome.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Mike?
Good, thanks. I'm calling Jeff because I've been working for TSA for over 20 years. I've been commuting from Rhode Island to Logan. I'm on my way to work in about a little bit to start the second shift. There's no lines. There's nothing crazy going on in Logan right now because I'm just going to tell you up front, the management there is working through fear. So basically, all the employees are either, if they call out sick one day, they're going to get reprimanded and fired. Basically, that's what it comes down to. People that have been there for years that have more to lose in the game are basically motivated by fear. And they have other resources, too, to help, move the lines more frequently. So that's in a nutshell what's going on.
So basically, Mike, you're a TSA agent. You travel from Rhode Island to Logan every day, which is one hell of a commute, but let that go. So I'm impressed right there. And you're saying the reason why there hasn't been a manpower or personnel shortage at TSA at Logan, as say in other airports, big airports, is because people are petrified that if they don't show up, if there's an absence, that they're going to be fired on the spot, no questions asked. And people have worked there many years, so they've got a pension, they've got a lot invested, probably a little bit higher on the pay scale, and they don't want to lose what they have spent years and years building. Mike, I've got to ask you this, and if I'm getting too personal, please tell me. How are you surviving? In all seriousness, I mean, you've missed, multiple paychecks now. There's no paycheck coming in. I'm sure you've got either a rent or a mortgage. You've got food. You've got utilities. You've got bills. I don't know if you have a wife or family or kids, but how are you getting by? And how do you keep your morale up when you're not even getting paid?
It works, and she makes more than I do, which is great. And I've been getting handouts from my mom, which I'm embarrassed to say because she's in her early 80s and, she's offering me money and I don't want to take it, but she's like, you need it more than I do. So I take it, losing my pride, basically. We just manage. I have some savings, but that's going to be, slowly used as this progresses. I'm definitely for the mission. I believe in, 9/11 affected me a lot. I worked in science field for years. And then after 9/11, my company folded, and I decided, okay, 3 to 5 year plan. I'll stay and work for Uncle Sam. And then I just got complacent, and I now basically no one wants a man my age. I'm not really marketable. So, I'm doing what I got to do. I'm taking it day by day. And, but for the young kids out there, this is their first job, or they just finished college and they're still trying to find themselves, or somebody who's a veteran. We have a lot of veterans that work with us, and they have pensions coming up, and they don't have to work more than 4 or 5 years. For somebody like myself that's in the middle of the pack, it's kind of a tough decision to make, just to be able to just exit. And, I won't be able to make enough to make ends meet. And I do have a mortgage, and I have kids that are graduating college, and I'm helping them out as best I can. Right now, they're helping themselves because they work, and I'm embarrassed, but that's the way it is. Motivation by fear. That this is what management intimidation is with the TSA in Logan. We also have situations where people have FMLA that's, in most cases attributed to the job itself and wear and tear. Issues with their back, their knees. And if you call out using that, even though it's in your right, you have to bring a doctor's note. No questions asked. If you don't bring a doctor's note, they're going to be on you all day. So the Logan has a lot of corruption internally. And it's been going on for years, and everybody's afraid to blow the whistle because everybody wants to, stay off the radar, basically. So,
Mike, how do your fellow colleagues, how do they feel about this shutdown? Are they blaming the Democrats? Are they blaming the Republicans and Trump? How do they feel about it?
I don't really talk about it too much. We just, specifically with parties, because there's a thing called the Hatch Act, and if you discuss it incorrectly, management finds out, you can get written up and then probably fired too. So they make us sign off on stuff like that so that we can't really discuss it other than like, hey, we're not getting paid again. That's about it. You can't get deep into like names and political affiliates and this and that, because then it becomes like a rat race of people ratting people out, and then the Hatch Act kicks in, and then you get written up, and then before you know it, you're on your way out. So that's another fear factor right there. You sign something saying you're not going to discuss anything regarding,
So you got, let's say on a lunch break, you and your buddies on a lunch break, having a sandwich and a cup of coffee, and you say to them, hey, geez, these Democrats are killing us with this shutdown. You can't say that? You may get fired?
If it's in a confine of a a break area that's designated for employees specifically, yes, you could. If you're in an area outside, in an area where there's not people taking breaks and it's like a quiet little area that's not really specific for break area, then yeah, you can speak with friends and peers. But for the most part, I would have to say, Jeff, the consensus is Democrats. But they also know the rhinos exist. They're very complacent with this. So, but generally we don't. It's kind of like, stick your head in the sand and just keep moving forward. Try to keep people safe. That's the bottom line. TSA's got a bad rep, but there's a lot of things that people, you hear on one side of the fence about what's going on, about this lady being groped or patted down incorrectly or violated her rights. But they don't know a lot of details that we see, things that we've been told and seen on videos, and why we do what we do, why we take liquids away, why we're specific on certain sizes. We can't divulge all that. We can only tell you that it's a good reason for it. And then the people that are really ignorant, they take snapshots of us just because they're inconvenienced by us asking them for their property because if to search it and this and that. It's just amazing, especially New England people. I don't know why, but they're so entitled and so complacent, and they're very comfortable in this state. I've traveled parts of the Midwest, and I see a different attitude with people in general. This area is too corrupt, too deep in the roots, and it's just disgusting.
Mike, I don't want to get you in trouble, so if you don't want to answer this question, I completely understand. But is this shutdown and the long lines and the demoralization of the TSA, is this leading to maybe potentially letting our guard down and a terrorist possibly getting through the screening procedures? Is this putting airline safety and airline passengers at risk? Is it becoming now not just an inconvenience for the public, but something dangerous for the public?
Jeff, you tell me, if you have less people working and they're doing more of the load, okay, you've got mental burnout, you've got physical burnout, you might lose focus because your breaks are delayed, your everything is delayed. Going to the bathroom is delayed because you're maybe in a posted position, you can't leave unless someone's able to tap you. When everything's stretched out like that, Jeff, you tell me what the answer is. It's common sense, right?
Mike, and the Democrats don't care? In other words, they must know this. And ultimately, they still don't care?
Democrats and rhinos, let's forget rhinos, don't forget, they have everything to gain by this, like you said earlier, chaos. They don't care because they're very comfortable. They're getting their money under the table from corrupt lobbyists or whatever it is, or special interests, and their salary on top of that. So they don't have to worry about that. They're always going to be in the clear. It's the peasants that have to worry about, everyday survival. So,
Mike, God bless you, man. Thank you for calling. Thank you for your service. I want you to know you're in my thoughts and prayers. Stay strong. Mike in Rhode Island, again, I really appreciate him calling in, TSA agent. The part that bothered me the most is when he said it really hurt his pride, that he had to go to his mother. His mother has to give him some money to help him get by, pay the bills, pay utilities, put food on the table as they're struggling, has missed out on how many paychecks. And, she's 81 years old. He says, Ma, you need the money for yourself? She says, no, you need it more than I do now. I mean, this is just, I'm sorry. It's just, in the United States of America, this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Anyway, Mike, God bless you, my friend. 6-1, apparently they will be coming to a deal soon. That's what the news media is now reporting. I hope it's true. 617-266-6868. Roy in Everett. Thanks for holding, Roy, and welcome. Hello, Roy. Did we lose Roy? Okay, who am I going to go to next, Mike? Thomas in the Freedom State, Florida. Thanks for holding, Thomas, and welcome.
Welcome to you. Good morning.
Hi.
I want to say it's short. Just found out that the subject matter you were talking about earlier, John Kennedy from Louisiana was the one that proposed the bill not to take any pay while this shutdown. I don't know who else was behind him on the bill, but he is definitely not taking money right now, his paycheck, until the shutdown's over.
And they shot the bill down, Thomas.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, poor Kennedy. I mean, you should have seen the guy. He was like, I'm the most hated guy in Congress now. just because I said, hey, if government employees don't get paid, we shouldn't get paid. Because, we're the ones that caused the shutdown. And they hate the guy. They want to drive him out of Washington on a rail, Thomas. I mean, to me, doesn't that tell you everything you need to know in a nutshell?
And does Kennedy, should he be the majority leader of the Senate?
Mickey Mouse can be better than the current majority leader, John Thune. I think he'd be very good. I don't know. I don't know if he has the energy to do it. I like him. He's very witty. He's very good with the media. But how do I say this? Senate Majority Leader Thomas, you're burning the midnight oil. It's not a glamorous job. I mean, you get to talk at these big bills and at a big press conference. But man, behind the scenes, you got to do a lot of fundraising. You got to work on the nitty gritty of bills and legislation. You need a workhorse. The thing I have to say about Thune and McConnell, they have no personal life. I mean, to give them both their due, I mean, they've got an iron rear end. I mean, they just work and work and work and work and work. Now, a lot of it is traveling, fundraising, schmoozing, handshaking, but that's what the job entails. And look, anybody's better than Thune. I would take Kennedy over Thune any day. But you need someone with more energy, someone who's a little bit more. Rick Scott. I'm telling you, I think Rick Scott would be the perfect Senate Majority Leader. You need a guy who's just relentless, high energy, working 18, 20 hours a day. But, Rick Scott is MAGA, and he's a real conservative, and he's a fighter. So that's why I wanted Rick Scott over John Thune. But no, I take Kennedy. I take anybody, really, literally anybody over Thune, because Thune is a disaster. Thomas, thank you so much for that call. Very good call. Cheryl in Hyde Park. Thanks for holding, Cheryl, and welcome.
If this is the start of my day, it's going to be amazing today getting to talk to you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
So I have a point to be made. I work in the private sector. I run a $4 million company. We have to adhere to every single law that's out there, including paying our people. It's against the law to not pay somebody for the time that they worked. How is the government getting away with not paying their people?
Cheryl, you ever hear the expression, rules for thee, but not for me? That's the ruling class. You see, you're a peasant. You work in the private sector. You're the tax producer. You're the worker and other workers that give them the money. They're the tax consumer. They're the overlord. So they think they own you and they own us. So yes, there's one set of laws for you and for me, and there's another set for them. That famous song, there's one big club and we're not in it. That's essentially what you're experiencing now, Cheryl.
President Trump every single day. I think he is a total genius, and everybody needs to be afraid because he doesn't take crap from anybody. And if the last two presidents had been that way, we'd be in a much better position. So I appreciate you every single day, and I just don't see how this is fair or legal. So
it's not fair, it's not legal, it's not moral. And Cheryl, honestly, God bless you. Because really, it's people like you and Mike, Kuhner country, who are the backbone of this country. My God, what would they do without us? Seriously, what would they do without us?